Hello, everyone. Welcome to Love All in All. Your support and love always motivate me to make more new videos. Keep watching. Please like, share, and comment to encourage me. For more video updates, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on all notifications for more videos. Today we're going to hear about Goodbye, Mr. Hollywood by John Escott. Now move on to the story. Chapter 1. Mystery Girl. It all began on a gorgeous spring morning in Whistler, Canada, a charming small community nestled in the mountains of British Columbia. There was a cafe in the village with tables outside, and a young man was sitting at one of them. He finished his breakfast, sipped his coffee, gazed up at the blue sky, and felt the warmth of the sun on his face. Nick Lortz was a cheerful man. The waiter approached his table. "More coffee?" he inquired. "Yeah." "Great," said Nick. He handed the waitress his coffee cup. The waiter noticed the camera on the table. "On vacation?" he asked. "Where are you from?" "San Francisco," Nick answered. He laughed. "But I am not on vacation. I am working. I am a travel writer who is currently working on a book about mountains in North America. I've got some fantastic photos of your mountain." The two men stared up at Whistler Mountain, which was behind the village. It looked stunning in the morning sun. "Do you travel frequently then?" asked the waitress. "All the time," Nick answered. "I write novels and travel publications. I write about everything, different nations, towns, villages, rivers, mountains, and people." The waiter cast a glance over Nick's head. "There is a girl across the street," he explained. "Do you know her?" Nick turned his head to look. "No, I don't." "She knows you, I believe," the waiter added. "She keeps a close eye on you." He smiled at Nick. "Have a wonderful day." He walked away and returned to the cafe. Nick gazed at the girl across the street. She was perhaps 25 years old and really attractive. "She's watching me," Nick thought. The girl then turned and peered into one of the shop windows. After a little pause, she returned her gaze to Nick. Nick observed her. "She looks worried," he observed. "What is she doing? Is she waiting for someone?" Suddenly, the girl grinned. Then she crossed the street, approached Nick's table, and sat down. She set her purse down on the table. The bag was half opened. The girl approached Nick's table. "I'm Jan," she explained. "Do you remember me? We met at a party in Toronto." "Hello, Jan," said Nick. He smiled. "I'm Nick. However, we did not meet at a party in Toronto. I rarely attend to parties, and never in Toronto." "Oh," the girl replied. But she did not stand up or move away. "Have some coffee," Nick suggested. The narrative about the party in Toronto was not accurate, but it was a gorgeous morning, and she was a lovely lady. Perhaps it was a party in Montreal. Or New York. The girl laughed. "Ok, perhaps it was. And certainly, I would like some coffee." When she finished her coffee, Nick inquired, "What are you doing in Whistler? Or do you reside here?" "Oh no," she replied. "I'm simply passing by." "And what are you doing here?" "I'm a travel writer," Nick added, "and I'm writing a book about famous mountains." "That's fascinating," she commented. But her expression was anxious and uninterested, and she gazed across the street again. A man with very short white hair stepped across the street. He was perhaps 60 years old, tall and skinny. The girl observed him. "Are you waiting for anyone?" asked Nick. "No," she replied hastily. Then she inquired, "Nick, where are you going next?" "To Vancouver for 3 or 4 days," he explained. "When were you going?" she asked. "Later this morning," he answered. A letter was in the top of the girl's half-open bag. Nick noticed some of the writing and read it because he saw the word Vancouver, and we can meet at the Empress Hotel in Victoria, Vancouver Island, on Friday afternoon. So she's going to Vancouver, too, he reasoned. The girl asked, "Do you like movies?" "Movies? Yes, I enjoy movies," he answered. "Why? Are you waiting for anyone?" asked Nick. "I know a man who he enjoys movies and going to the cinema," she answered hesitantly. "Mr. Hollywood is what they call him." She grinned at Nick. "Can I also call you Mr. Hollywood?" Nick laughed. "Okay," he replied. "What can I call you?" She grinned again. "Call me Mystery Girl," she announced. "That's a good name for you," Nick commented. Just then, a man with white hair entered the cafe. He did not look at Nick or the girl, but instead sat at a table close to them. He asked the waiter for some breakfast and began reading a magazine. The girl gazed at the man and then swiftly looked away. "Do you know him?" Nick asked her. "No," she replied. She drank her coffee quickly and got up. "I must leave now," she murmured. Nick also stood up. "Nice too," he started. But the girl quickly grasped his face in her hands and kissed him on the lips. "Drive carefully, Mr. Hollywood." "Goodbye," she murmured with a large, gorgeous smile. She then turned and hastily walked away. Nick sat down again and observed her. She strolled down the street and entered a large hotel. Now what, Nick wondered, was that all about? The man with white hair observed Nick and waited. After around 4 or 5 minutes, Nick drank his coffee, took his books and camera, and departed the cafe. His car was right outside the girl's hotel, so he walked slowly down the street to it. "Drive cautiously, Mr. Hollywood." The man with white hair paused a second before rapidly following Nick. The girl peered down the road from a high-up hotel window. She noticed Nick and a man with white hair approximately 50 yards behind him. Nick got into his car, and the white-haired man moved rapidly to a red car across the street. When the girl noticed this, she grinned and started to put some items in her travel bag. The man with white hair moved rapidly to a red automobile across the street. Chapter 2. A Hand in the Back. That evening, in his Vancouver hotel room, Nick couldn't quit thinking about the girl at the Whistler Cafe. Why did she come to sit with him? She didn't know him, and the narrative about the party in Toronto was false. And she was concerned about something. But what? And that kiss. It was obviously good, but why did she do it? Perhaps she loved my face, Nick thought. Or my dark eyes. But I won't see her again, so it doesn't matter. Forget it. He placed some money in his pocket and proceeded downstairs to the hotel restaurant. But there were no available tables, so he walked down to Gastown and discovered a restaurant there. After supper, he took a walk. Vancouver was a welcoming city, and Nick enjoyed strolling through Gastown and Chinatown, browsing the shops and watching the people. It was almost dark, and it was a busy evening. There were lots of automobiles and people. After a while, Nick began walking back to his hotel. He came to a busy street and waited with a small crowd to cross. A tall woman wearing a blue outfit stood close to him. She turned and smiled at him. "It's the first warm evening of spring," she explained. "It's good to be outside after the long, chilly winter." "Yes," Nick answered. "It's great. It's..." Suddenly, there was a hand on Nick's back, pushing him into the road. Nick fell on his face in front of a large green automobile. They yelled. However, the green car came to a halt just inches away from Nick's head. The woman in the blue dress dashed into the street and dragged Nick to his feet. "Are you okay? What's happened?" she said. Nick fell on his face in front of a large green automobile. The driver of the green car yelled fiercely at Nick, but Nick could not hear him. "Someone shoved me," he told the woman. "I did not fall. Someone pushed me." "Pushed you?" the woman asked. "Who?" I did not see anybody. Nick stared at the faces of the individuals around him, but he didn't recognize them. Then he noticed a man's back. The man was tall and skinny, with short white hair. He moved fast down the street and did not glance back. "Hey you!" Nick shouted. "Wait!" But the man did not stop, and he was quickly lost among the crowds. "Did he shove you?" inquired the woman in the blue outfit. "I don't know," Nick replied. "Do you know him?" she asked. "I don't know his name," Nick admitted. "But I recognize that short white hair. Now, where have I seen it before?" The woman started to step away. "I need to get home," she added. "Are you okay now?" "Yeah, I am okay," Nick responded. "And thank you. Thank you for your help." "That's okay." The woman grinned. "Take care now." Back at his hotel, Nick sat on his bed, thinking. There was an accident. Nobody pushed me. It was an accident. Nobody wants to murder me. There are hundreds of males in Vancouver with white hair. It was 1 a.m., but Nick couldn't sleep. He listened to the automobiles on the road and stared up at the night sky from his hotel room window. Then he sat down at the table and attempted to write more of his book on mountains, but he couldn't think about it. He got back into bed. The hotel room included around 4 or 5 magazines. They weren't really interesting, but Nick sat in bed, opened one, and discovered a photograph of Mystery Girl. He examined the image very carefully. But, yeah, that was her. Jan is the gal from the Whistler Cafe. She was standing next to a man about the age of 50 or 55 in the garden of a large, luxurious home. They grinned at the camera and appeared quite happy. Nick sat on the bed and opened one. I saw a photo of Mystery Girl. Howard Hudson, a Canadian millionaire, and his daughter, Meg, were shown in their Toronto mansion. Meg Hudson. Not January. Not Mystery Girl. Meg Hudson is the daughter of a millionaire. Nick read it again. Why did she come to sit with me in the cafe at Whistler? He wondered. Millionaire daughters do not sit with strangers in cafes and then give them a big kiss as they leave. Why did she do this? What did she want? He remembered the cafe in Whistler and the girl next to him at the table. Then he remembered something. He remembered a man sitting near them at the cafe. A tall, slender man around 60 years old. A man with extremely short white hair. Nick didn't get much sleep that night.